Cody Stepp here. I have something really fun that I actually want to showcase to you guys and do a little bit of a deep dive into how we are using it inside of SAM. But before we do, I want to give you a bit of a background on this product. So when Mark and I were first building out Workflow Secrets, the company, it kind of started as a way for us to help continue Mark's efforts to coach real estate agents. At that point, we were sharing a lot about the core strategies framework, core being an acronym for conversions, operations, retentions, and experiences. And that's all the 4 core systems you need to build inside your real estate business. Now, you're going to see a lot of pieces inside of SAM that leverage that fundamental thinking. How do we bring leads in the door, conversions? How do we manage our business operations? And then how do we build repeat referral processes with our retentions? And then the experiences kind of interweave into all of them with the ultimate goal of building what we call world-class client experiences. And when we were building Workflow Secrets, there was the coaching component, but I was actually off on my own, and I was building real estate dashboards. And these are defunct products at this point, but I realized pretty early that the power in being able to provide real estate agents with real-time data connected to their CRM is so valuable for you to have the insights that you actually need. Now, while I was building these dashboards, Mark and I started learning about what we have essentially built into SAM called assessments. And assessments, I don't remember what they were called outside of SAM, but we call them assessments. But they're basically little questionnaires that you can use during your lead generation process. Now, we all need more leads, and so this is a really valuable concept. But what we're going to be looking at today, I'm actually going to show you how we have used assessments over the last several months inside of SAM to be really successful in driving leads to us. So we have lots of different concepts that you can use inside of SAM through the generations. You can create resources. You can send it to one of our integrations, a company called Gamma. You can create print-ready resources, and all of those you can drive leads to, lead magnets. They pull leads, and then we gather their details. But assessments are a little bit different, but they take the same form, right? So we are sending our leads to these assessments. And what an assessment is it's just a series of questions that they ask. When they answer all of these questions, it's going to give them a score. And this score is really valuable because as they are answering these questions, they're engaging in effort. Now, a lead that is engaging in any effort is what we have aptly called engaged leads. I think the concept comes from a gentleman named Alex Hormozy. I'm sure it comes from other places too. But an engaged lead is just the best of leads, because any lead that has taken action outside of just giving us their information is already taking a step forward. They basically risen their hand and said, hey, I am a little bit more ready. Now, the assessment, and I'll show you what an assessment looks like in just a second, is really powerful because these engaged leads get a score at the end of the assessment. We get all of the insights from them taking the assessments, and we can start automated processes through the routines that continue to nurture them if they actually submit their lead information. And oftentimes they usually do, because it comes at a trade for the full length report. So that was a lot to explain, but what I want to do is actually move into SAM and look over the entire process. So if you have not yet taken a look at SAM and you found this video, you find yourself looking for ways in which you can have better lead generating efforts in your real estate business, or how you can migrate from just simple resources that you use in your real estate business to actually processes that build engaged leads, this is going to be one of those trainings that I think you're going to really enjoy. But other than that, go ahead and visit sam.workflowsecrets.info. And you can log in if you already have an account. If you're one of my customers or you're taking a trial, thank you so much for checking this one out. But if you don't yet have access to SAM, you can click sign up. You get 14 days of free access, and it's on me. There's no obligations. We want to provide you with a tool. We are an AI native system. We replace real estate CRMs, and we have for agents and teams all across North America. We are fundamentally shifting how we use technology in real estate, and ultimately speaking, we're having a lot of fun doing it. And there's so much that you can do when you start embracing modern technology that these old CRM systems of the last 30 years just simply cannot do, that Sam is easily able to do. But go ahead and log into your system, and I will see you inside. All right. So now that we're on our dashboard, I want to just kind of briefly showcase what an assessment is going to give you as far as an output goes. Now, on the upper left-hand side of the little dashboard, you can click this icon. And if you do not have your assessment analytics checked, you do want to make sure that that's checked on. And this is kind of a little secret tip for you, that you can actually select which of the dashboard widgets are shown. You can even adjust how they're laid out. But I do need you to have this assessment analytics turned on, so once we have an assessment, you can kind of see. Now from here, you can open up this assessment, and if you were watching my video where I was looking at the state of real estate technology, I'll throw a little card up in the corner for that. You might have seen some of these stats, and these stats are all answers to some of the assessments that we have put out into the world over the last several months. Mark and I have kind of been making our grand tour at all sorts of the different real estate and technology events that we've been going to, speaking at, and showcasing Sam at. So this is a really great way because you can look at all of these different insights. You can even print off PDFs of this. You can gain some really tactical knowledge. And not only can you gain all of this knowledge, there's some really cool things that you can start to do with this knowledge. And a little spoiler for what is to come, we are about to launch something, and is currently in beta internally, and it should be available very soon. As of now, it's March the 6th, 2026. And if you're seeing this a little bit later, you might even have access to it. But what it's going to do is it's going to allow Sam to, very similar to how we can create routines, which are modern workflow automations using Sam, it can actually build the assessment. It can build out all of the answers and all of the questions, and then it can build out personalized coaching experiences depending on how your folks answer to these assessments. So imagine they take an assessment, you get their lead details, and they get an entire series of coaching specific to the answers that they have in the assessments. Now, this is going to be a really cool one, and to be seen, but I just wanted to tease that a little bit because that one is coming soon. But from all of these insights, like I said, you've got such valuable data, but we actually need to look at building these assessments. And so I want you to go now to the top right-hand corner, clicking on your initials, and then we're going to go into the setup. Now, once we're in the setup, there's one thing that I want to note before we actually dive into this, and this is the menu options. Now, inside the menu options, there's lots of different customizations that you can do inside of here. One of the things that Mark and I fundamentally believe, and this is just a historic thing that we believe because of some of the previous projects that we worked on, is you deserve to be able to edit your software and adjust it how you need it. Now, historically speaking, you would have a customer reach out and say, hey, I need this very specific thing added to my system. And the support team would send it to the engineers. The engineers would add it to their log. They're oftentimes backlogged, and then weeks go by, it doesn't get added. Then you as a customer, you're kind of just stuck twiddling your thumbs. Well, you don't have to do that inside of Sam. And so we've made it possible for you to add and edit and create custom fields for pretty well anything inside of Sam. And that was just an effort to help you guys out and really empower you. But one of the things that I want to showcase is this manage date fields. Now, the reason for this, inside of Sam, you can build out what are called important dates. Now, these are the keys to these modern workflow automations that we call routines. And essentially what an important date is and does is when you fill it out, it triggers the automation to start. So a great example of this would be on the birthday. If you learn someone's birthday, you might have a birthday routine built, an automated process, and you fill in their birthday and that system kicks in automatically for you just because you learned their birthday. And so now maybe 7 days before their birthday, you get a notice to handwrite a card and put it in the mail. And then on their birthday, they get added to your call list. This is like a really great experience. But we don't necessarily need to worry about birthdays, but what you can do is add date fields. And this is where that customization comes in, and create custom date fields. Now, the custom date field that I want us to create today is going to be for our assessments. So currently there are two examples that I'm going to showcase to you, our agent assessment and our AI CRM assessment date. And I've already pre-built these, but essentially you name it and you give it a column. You can allow it to always show on your important dates inside the contact. And then you can predefine if it's a date, time, or a date only. I oftentimes, best practice, encourage you to just go ahead and select the date time because what that allows you to do when we're actually building the routine is trigger it on specific dates. Specific times rather. We'll actually look at that in just a second though. So once we have these important dates added, we can go ahead and start looking at the landing pages section. So inside the landing pages, you are able to create some really cool things. An example of this would be, we just recently wrapped a experience called Workflow Secrets Demo Day 2026. And this is one of mine and Mark's favorite events because we actually get to showcase SAM in an in-depth, long format demo of SAM. And we drive folks to a sign-up page through this landing form. So this landing form has kind of a wonky URL, but it also has a QR code. You could download those QR codes and you could copy the URL, but I'm just going to go ahead and open it in the browser so you can kind of get an idea of what these landing pages are inside of SAM. So these are just pretty simple landing forms. I've got a header, I've got a title, a little bit of information, I've got fields. And then once you click here, save my spot for demo day, it would register me for demo day. It would fill in that important date. It would trigger a routine that would start a reminder sequence for me. So that's landing pages. Now, when you subscribe to SAM, you get access to landing pages, which is really cool. Depending on the account size, is how many landing pages you actually have inside your account. But this is really great because inside of SAM, you can build landing pages for so many different things. And our customers use them for almost everything. They absolutely love them. One of the most frequently used things are, again, event RSVPs, kind of like that demo day, as well as open house sign-ins. So for your practice, you might find yourself building out a landing page for open house sign-in. You've got your iPad just sitting there on the counter, and then maybe it triggers a routine that you've built out or you've had SAM build that guides them through the house and talks about each of the rooms. It paints the picture of what it's going to look like when they move in here. And so maybe you're working to have conversations one-on-one with folks, but you also want to make sure that everyone has a great tour. This is how you do that. So there's lots of different ways you can do that. Radar service is another really great one. We actually have a widget on the dashboard for that, but we could talk about landing pages, and I guess technically this is a landing pages training video, but today I really want to dive into the assessments. So the assessments is a type of landing page. And first, what we need to do is give a landing page objective. Now, objectives are something that we use inside of SAM frequently, but basically what an objective is just simply asking the question, hey, what do you want to accomplish with this? So for this assessment, maybe I want a new lead readiness assessment to qualify how soon a let's call them a first time home buyer is to purchase. Now, this might be a really great experience if you work with first-time homebuyers and you want to build out a bit of a questionnaire, both understanding where they are in the buying process, as well as to start to create resources that you can actually share with them that coach them and build them up. Now, like I said in a little teaser, that is coming soon to actually be handled by Sam. And that's going to be a really big quality of life improvement. But the assessments piece is fully functioning irregardless of that. Now, from here, all you have to do is select the default fields that you want. I will note that with landing pages, like a best practice from a marketing standpoint, is the more fields you ask for, the more likely people are to run away. And so first name, last name, email is kind of your standard. Phone number is probably another really great one for you as a real estate agent. City, state, zip, it's up to you. But, I keep it pretty simple. First name, last name, email. Again, you probably want phone number. Now from here, all you have to do is click create landing page, and Sam's actually going to do all of the heavy lifting for us, which is great because now, boom, we have our landing page name, unlock your path to homeownership, take our readiness assessment today, our description, Sam's pre-built all of that out. It's using my writing style that I have in my profile under my team member, and it's creating that. When they submit the assessment, they get this thank you message. Now, all of these fields can be clicked into. We can actually let Sam enhance the message if we don't feel like it's great, but we don't really know what we want to add. And then we can add, again, that redirect URL that is going to take them to a secondary page. Now, maybe this takes them to your About Me section. Maybe this takes them to some sort of resource that you have. There's lots of different ways you could do that. And then your agent information. You can also select the below banner, the button selection. This is going to be agent info placement. Where is this all placing? You can align it. You can add different branding pieces that are going to match. For me, I use this blue that we use inside of Sam, and then you can adjust lots of different things, including the call to action, your button. What is it actually going to say? How are we engaging them? And then we can use either banner images that need to be a 720 by 200. Oftentimes when you create these, you just go to Canva or some other image creation system and you can build those. But we actually integrate with a company called Pixabay. And Pixabay is really great because I can search for images that kind of match the vibe. And let's say I choose this one. I can either crop it specifically to what I want it, or I can just click use original and it'll crop it for me. That's really cool. So from here, I now have all my form fields, first name, last name, email. If I want to, I can click add field, and there are dozens of different options that you can have, be it a text area, drop downs, you can have ratings, you can ask for any of the additional fields. Maybe it's a checkbox. Text only is oftentimes what we use for those little blocks of copy that we actually have. You can include HTML if you want to do something a little fancy, a little custom, horizontal lines. You can add YouTube videos, images, row containers, kind of truncate or block everything off. And then the assessments piece, do that. Now, the other thing you can do is you can adjust the formatting of these. Once we have all of that, you just add some tags. Now, this is really great because then you can start to understand where they're coming from. So it actually has my demo day tags from that example that I was showcasing to you guys because it saves the last used tags. But maybe this is the new lead assessment. Just click the little add button. Now this tag has been added. I save it. And then the date field, this is going to be how we use those important dates to trigger everything. So we're going to look at the routine section in just a second, but this would allow us to trigger off the back of the assessment a routine to start. And we're going to kind of walk through exactly what that looks like. From there, you just go ahead and save everything and you're ready to go. From that point, after you save it, oftentimes what I will suggest is going over here to the left-hand side. You do have to save it before it appears in our menu, but we can show options, and then I can go to share and preview. It's going to provide me with that landing page URL as well as the QR code that we could download. I'm going to open this one up in the browser. We can kind of see what that looks like, right? So very similar to the demo day. My demo day did have a actual video attached to it, which is a little demo of Sam. But this would be the assessment as it stands. Now, right now, you might notice that this is actually just a lead form, and that's because we actually do need to add the assessment field. So we go into the add field, and then from the drop down, there are lots of different options. The assessment is one of them. From the assessment, this is where it really starts to work in our favor, because we can just let Sam build the assessment for us. Now, it kind of has some context just based on the landing form, what we actually want. But for this one, it's a first-time home buyer that is the assessment is for, and we could add a custom audience. We can adjust the language. We have lots of folks who use Sam who are bilingual or trilingual speakers, and sometimes, especially my Texan friends and my New Mexican friends, they speak both Spanish and English. And so not only in the contact card can you set a preferred language and Sam can adjust or translate on the fly, but you could build your assessment specific to any one language. So a little kind of fun fact. But what is the main goal or challenge of this? And in this case, we want to gauge if a first-time home buyer is ready to start the process of buying a home and gain insights into how knowledgeable they are in the process of buying a home. Pretty simple, nothing really crazy. This is technically an objective, but I am going to click to let Sam enhance this. So what Sam's able to do is think about this, and it actually pared that down, determined the readiness level to succeed as a first-time home buyer. It's oftentimes, maybe simpler is better. Now from here, are we looking for readiness, or are we looking to help them see what is holding them back? So it's kind of in marketing, we talk about your pain points. And this is exactly what this assessment type allows you to capitalize on. Are we looking to understand, or are we looking to understand so that we can help them solve, is essentially. Now from here, let's go ahead and hit next. And we can have a hook title. That's going to be the thing that kind of draws them in. An example of this: are you ready to buy a home? I'm actually going to let Sam build it. You see what we're able to come up with. Are you ready to buy a home is not a bad hook though. But, ultimately speaking, Sam's going to be able to help us out with all of this. So it's going to give me a couple options. I do like this. Are you ready to buy a home? Unlock the path to home ownership. Are you prepared? First-time buyer. Your dream home awaits. Are you prepared? Discover your readiness level. So I'm just going to choose one of those, and then it's going to give me a couple benefits. Now I could add some benefits to this. Any of these that I didn't like, I could delete, but we're just going to keep rolling. And then it's going to ask, how many questions do you want? So this really dictates how engaged you think a lead is. So anyone you're driving to an assessment for, you kind of need to know how warm they are. And what I mean by that is if you've never interacted with these folks, the shorter the assessment, the more likely they are to fill it out. If these are folks inside your database who maybe you haven't talked to in a while, but you're curious to learn a bit of insight into, maybe we go for the standard. If these are longtime customers, you're looking to understand how best you can serve them next, maybe we could actually dive into an in-depth or a comprehensive, but those, generally speaking, are not ones that you want to use. It's standard 10 to 15 questions is going to be pretty accurate. Short ones are going to be really helpful as well too. And then from there, you can load a preset of, what categories are we looking at. You can choose from a preset or these buyers, and then it's going to give you some categories. Now, these categories kind of address all of the different types of questions or how these questions are going to fall into the assessment. So they're going to fall into one of these 4 buckets. Either A, it's a question about finances, B, it's a question about their timeline, C, it's a question about how motivated they are, or B, it's a question about how knowledgeable they are. And these categories are helping us to understand in all of those different frames of reference where these folks are. So because I let Sam build that, those are the categories. We could add additional categories. We could edit these, but I actually think that those are probably, for this first time home buyer assessment, pretty good categories. So I'm going to hit next. Now from here, we need to build out all of the questions that fall into these categories. Again, I'm just going to let Sam build it, and it's going to start generating all 12 of those questions. And currently it's generating in 2 batches. So it's sharing with me, hey, it's going to take about 16 seconds to generate all of that. And once it's ready to go, then I'll have all of these questions and we can start to review everything that it was able to create for us. After that, we are pretty well done. There's a little bit of tweaking that goes, but it's created all of the questions, and now it's generating all of the choices inside of these assessments. So each question is going to have 3 possible answers inside the assessment, and we'll showcase this in just a second. But those 3 answers are going to score differently. Is it 0 points, 5 points, or 10 points? Kind of low, medium, high. And so as they get scored on any of these questions, depending on those categories, they'll get an overall score for that category. And I'll show you exactly what this looks like as we kind of wrap up all of this assessment. But once we have this built, I'm going to take you over to the routine. I'm going to show you how that's done. And then after that, I'll show you what the assessment looks like, the value to the lead for taking the assessment, and how that trade-off goes. So we have a full picture of all of this kind of built out, put together. But as I've been rambling, look, it's almost done. So this is the power of letting Sam assist us. Now, is this ready to go? No, we need to go ahead. We need to click in here. We need to look at all these questions. But as you can see, do you have a mortgage pre-approval place? This is in the finances category. I could adjust it. It's going to be a best practices, current reality, desired reality, obstacle, preferred solution. Best practices, probably correct. And then it has the choices for me. No, I haven't started. Yes, I'm in progress. Yes, I'm fully pre-approved. This question right here is just giving us a huge insight into them. And as they answer these questions, it gives them little answers to each of those questions. So that's really helpful. So we just go through and we read through all of the answers. We read through the assessments. We can let Sam create any of those if we need to. If we need to adjust the categories or the question types, we can do that as well. But I'm going to go ahead and hit next. And now we can go ahead and look at test result tiers. So this is what I was talking about a second ago. They're going to fall into a tier, and I'll show you an example of that in just a second. But these tiers are going to indicate how ready they are. And so this is going to give us kind of the broad picture. Now, when they finish the assessment, they are going to be ranked into the tier. And this is where we capitalize on giving them an answer and offering up an in-depth solution to gather their lead details. So they're engaged because they've already started taking the assessment. They've taken the assessment, and now we've intrigued them just enough by giving them a category, but they want to know the whole in-depth. And this is the power of the assessment. So looking over the tiers, 0 to 40 is, they're not really ready. What this would mean is we probably need to start engaging, coaching, training, and offering them up steps for someone who's maybe 6 months, a year, 2 years out from the actual home buying process. In this example, 40 to 75, hey, they're almost ready. Maybe we just need to button down on a couple of resources. We could actually look over the assessment. These are the folks that you could reach out to them and say, hey, wanted to just field some of your questions, see if we can't get you ready to actually make the purchase. At that point, you are not only operating as the expert, but you're helping solve some of their problems. So that's a really valuable thing that you could do for them. And 60 or 76 to 100% means they're ready to go. These guys are the ones that you are going to start working to get signed contracts for. So from here, what I need to do is generate my HTML for all of these tiers. So the call to action could be specific to each of these. Maybe we're driving them to different resources, different videos, depending on this. But right now, I'm actually just generating the HTML for all of these tiers. So what this is generating is reports. And so now we have a result, and we can actually click this edit. We can look at what this report would look like. We can adjust it a little bit more, and I'll show you what it looks finalized. So don't stress too much about that. We can still have those call to actions, but it's created this. You're just getting started. You're making progress. You're ready to go. And then after that, we can select some of the final pieces, the beginning button, and then this PDF file tag management. So this is really important, and I'll show you exactly why in just a second. But inside of SAM, you can use tagged files to actually send documents. So this is kind of a really cool thing that you can do. For this specific one, we have assessment report. Probably what I would want to do is custom name this this is going to be the first time home buyer assessment. So adding this tag is actually going to link this specific assessment report other than just an assessment report. Now, the reason for this is I have multiple assessments, and I don't want them to get the wrong assessment report. That would be a little silly, right? So because this is my live account, I am going to save this. Let me just save that. I didn't add the tag. That's a bummer on me. First time home buyer assessment. Then I'm going to add the tag. I can remove this assessment report. I'll save this. That's the PDF file tag, first time home buyer assessment. We can hit next. Now we just look at our assessment summary. We can kind of review everything, and then we can generate and save the assessment. So now the assessment is ready to go. From here, all we need to do is configure the questions. If we want to adjust any of these different things, we can navigate over to the results tier. We can look at all of these. We can even go as far as to adjust the percentages of the different splits. And then we can go and we can look at our PDF file tagging system. This is where we're able to actually adjust and manage that. And then this is the precursor to what we actually have coming with Sam's ability to actually build out these assessments for you. But right now, imagine based on any of these questions, you were able to add different tags, you were able to adjust different statuses or add date fields specifically based on how they answered to that specific question. This is something you can do pretty advanced, but if you wanted to go through each of these 12 and kind of build out a custom path for each, you could do that, and you could build the routines using SAM to do that. Again, it's coming soon that you can actually just allow SAM to accomplish that for you. Now from here, I'm just going to save these changes. I'm going to add the assessment, and you'll see that the assessment gets added. And so from here, we go ahead and save the landing page. And then let's go back to here, and I'm going to hit update. And you can see that now, instead of having our lead form on this landing page, we have our assessment. So we would hit begin. We can go through and we can kind of take all of the different assessment questions. At this point, I'm just randomly selecting because it's a demo account using a demo assessment. And I scored 42%. So I'm mid-performance. Here's that message that we built out for it. And then here is where we start gathering lead details. So because they finished the assessment, they got their score. Well, that's pretty great, but do you want an in-depth? Let's go ahead and trade your resources and I will send it your way. Now from here, you email my details, and this is where the routine comes into play. So now that we have all of this working, we actually need to jump over to our routines by navigating to the left-hand side. Clicking into routines, what I would encourage you to do is click new routine, build blank routine. You can name your assessment. You can find that important day that we built for our assessment, and then just let Sam build it. That's the easiest way to do it. Explain what your goal is with that assessment routine, and then you're well on your way. But for this one, I'm actually going to pull one of the assessment routines that I already have built so that we can kind of look at what this process is. Now, if you wanted to take this assessment, you could go to workflowsecrets.info/AI CRM. You could take this assessment. You could see how this actually plays out. So this is a really cool one. And this assessment gives you insights into, are you ready for an AI CRM like Sam? And so this is kind of a fun one. But the very first thing that we want to do is we need to send the assessment PDF. So if you remember going back to the assessment, and I'm actually going to click into this, configure questions, and then I'm going to go to this PDF tag. We have this first time home buyer assessment. So back in our routine, I am triggering it 3 minutes after the AI CRM, that's the important date for this assessment, happens. So 3 minutes after you finish, it's going to send that report, and it's going to send a message. Now this message is going to be sent with their assessment, but here's the message, and here's where the power comes in. So see this little attachments paperclip? You can click that and you can actually add documents from a document library or from a contact file. So clicking over to the contact files, this is going to be where we add those PDF tags. So for this specific assessment that I have running, I have the AI CRM assessment tag and the assessment report. So what that means is when they receive this very first message, 3 minutes after they've completed the assessment and they have submitted all of their lead details, they will receive this email and it will have the attached assessment results in depth. So that's really cool, right? And this is really great because it's using tags, meaning it's the assessment specific to that contact. It saves the assessment results in their contact card, and it's going to be widely applicable. So you have the ability, no matter if you're handling one lead who took an assessment, or like Mark and I have experience where we're at big events speaking to hundreds of real estate agents, we'll throw up an assessment QR code and hundreds of people will answer the questions on the assessments and get this all at once, and they all get their own report, which is really powerful. So that's the power in using SAM to do something we call scaling. And most people know what scaling is, but one of Mark's friends one time said, Mark, I don't understand what scaling is. And so scaling is just your ability to handle multiple people at once. And that's exactly what Sam is doing in this case. So contact files, assessments, using the PDF tags that you have there. Go ahead and click save on that, and then go ahead and close or save that. I'm just closing it. So once we have that, then we can start to build out kind of an email series. Now for this specific assessment, they are learning about if they're ready for an AI CRM like SAM, right? And so what I would like to do is start to nurture them for having taken it. So in my routine, I actually have built out 1 through 6 as far as emails, and each of these different messages are going to go in cadence at a specific time with a specific message attached to it. And each of them has a goal. The very first one is going to talk about saving a little bit of time. They can look at a resource that's going to allow them to save more time using SAM. The next one is going to be all about a customer testimonial. Don is one of our best customers. He's just incredible guy, and he's one of the most high producing real estate agents in California. And so we were able to help Don a lot as far as modernizing his systems. So he was currently using some old software to build out these workflow automations. When we moved him into SAM and got him using routines, we saved something that was actually kind of crazy. It was like 20 hours a week off of his plate just by rebuilding all of those workflow automations into routines. And so we kind of talk about that. This is a really good social proof is what we would call this in marketing. But this is an opportunity for you to kind of share about your customers or a great experience someone has had with you. So email 1, I've talked about the value in using SAM. This would be where you could talk about the value to them in working with you as a real estate agent. Then I've used a little bit of social proof. Email 3 is talking about the 4 systems the top real estate agents are currently using. And we dive into our core strategies framework: conversions, operations, retentions, and experiences. This might be an opportunity for you to focus specifically on that assessment, maybe looking at a best practice or something that you had learned from working with folks specific to that assessment, and you could actually teach them a little bit. So we're working to coach them, to train them, to teach them. And what we're doing there is we're establishing ourselves as the expert. And as we do that, we're also helping them and we're solving problems. So there's some value in that. Now with each of these, I do have resources that are attached to that. That's up to you. But ultimately speaking, you could build those inside of SAM using the generations tab, especially if you used our integration with a company called Gamma, which allows you to take the generations and create print-ready resources. Some really cool stuff there. Maybe we'll dive into that some other time. But number 4, email number 4 is ready to qualify on autopilot. This dives a little bit deeper down the rabbit hole of what SAM is and what it can actually do for them and how it's valuable. I'm taking the concept that I taught about, the core strategies framework, and I'm giving it some practical application. They can download the assessments field guide. In this case, I'm actually talking about assessments, which is kind of, I guess it's kind of meta for this video. It's an assessment of assessments. It's an assessment of assessments. Wow, what a fun thing. And then number 5, from strangers to lifetime clients, a real estate system that delivers. This one is going to share, again, just some highlights as to what we've talked about. So maybe since we are using this assessment to kind of give them additional insights, we kind of circle back and explain, hey, here's exactly what we've talked about. My call to action is to book some time with us, as well as drive an additional resource to them. And then after that, I just kind of close out the email series. It's a bonus follow-up email 11 days after. And so over, the course of 2 weeks, they receive several different emails from me on the back end of the assessment. And this one drives specifically to book some time with us to actually look at SAM. Again, this is a assessment specifically about AI CRMs. So I know anyone who's taken this, anyone who has submitted their details are at least somewhat interested in AI CRMs. And so that is the value in being able to do that. But now that we kind of understand what this assessment could do, as far as how do we build it out, what does it look like, how do we create the automations, we need to set this as active so that it'll happen as soon as those lead details come in. It drives them into SAM. That important date gets filled out, and because it's active, it triggers automatically. We could be away from the office. We could be helping another client. We could be asleep if it's like 3 a.m. and they're night owl assessment takers. However it falls, this is going to be handled automatically for us by SAM. And so this is the power, because you're able to save a little bit of time in doing so. So the very last thing I want to show you guys is what these assessments actually look like. So this is just a demo contact, but inside the contact, under the assessments tab, you can see the assessment that this contact took. You can see the score. You can even download the PDF that would have been sent to them, but we're actually going to click this view details. was. So you can see when it was submitted, and you can actually go through and you can look at how this specific demo contact actually ranked on all of the different assessment pieces. You can go through all of the questions and start to gain insights into that. So this is really powerful. This is the report that they would actually receive when they are receiving that message. And if you look at it, it kind of gets sent in this kind of PDF format to them. But all of this was generated using SAM, and that is the power of the assessment. So from here, now hopefully you kind of understand what assessments are, how we build them, how we can utilize SAM to create these assessments, and how we can start actually engaging with leads. And I want you to kind of dream a little bit, because assessments are one of those concepts. Maybe we add them to our social media ads that we're running and we start driving leads there. Maybe it lives on our website, and instead of them just receiving little guidebooks, which traditionally speaking have been what we've used as lead magnets, we start actually having them engage with us in the efforts of creating these assessments. And this is going to hopefully start creating better connections. You're going to gain such invaluable insights into all of your different contacts. And in doing so, you're going to start to learn how you can best serve these folks. Now, as you're doing that, hopefully you can be a little bit patient, and very soon, Sam is going to have the ability to do some really incredible things with the assessments. I know personally, this is one of those things that is going to help me out immensely, and I'm very excited to actually put this into place. But hopefully this has been a lot of fun. And here is where I would like to go ahead and extend the offer. If you have not yet taken a look at SAM, I would love to personally give you 14 days of free access. All you need to do is visit sam.workflowsecrets.info, and you can click sign up. From there, you fill out a little bit of information, and there's no obligations, no card or anything like that required, but it's going to give you 14 days to actually look into the system, understand modern real estate tools and how they can start saving you time, how they can take all of your systems, bring them into one place, start connecting some of those dots. And there are so many real estate agents out there who are switching to SAM and absolutely loving it. It's like no system they've ever used before. And it's ultimately because there are two generations of real estate technologists who spent their entire lives building real estate systems for you guys that actually help you, who are creating SAM. And so instead of industry outsiders or folks who just generally speaking don't know how to apply AI into these tools with proper intention, creating things that actually help you, SAM is not that. SAM is going to be a tool that is going to help you manage your business. Ultimately, it's going to free up time for what we like to say are the things that matter most: friends, families, hobbies, growing your business. And we use assessments to do just that. Hopefully you have enjoyed this. Hopefully, if you're following along, you now have a really great assessment. I would love for you to comment below or reach out if you did create an assessment, and just let me know how it went. But other than that, hopefully you are having a great day, and I will see you very soon.